Monday through Thursday. You come back Saturday, Sunday, and leave again Monday through Thursday.
Right.
You might catch it because it's breaking up the dynamic of the black family.
Right.
But financially, it is creating and putting your family in a position that it can move on and move on to a better space. That is of no issue to immigrants. Immigrants, hey, we coming to America, we sending money back home.
Yeah.
You think they got a problem of landing in Los Angeles and the family is in Guatemala? We got no problem with that.
Right.
And I think we can learn from that. We need to have that same type of foresight, that we got to move and we got to branch out and we have to explore because other cultures are doing it so we can create a strong economic base and not be so tied to, although I know the history, even though it is very subliminal because I wasn't a slave. And on my bad days when I think I got it really bad, I say it's not as hot and I don't have a bale of cotton or on my head. So therefore I'm able to move on.
You gotta put things in perspective.
You gotta put it in perspective.
Right.
So, when I look at all those factors to say I am glad that there is there are people that will sacrifice, whether by choice or not, to make sure that we're in a better place called America.
No doubt. And there are also people who, we're a land of immigrants. Not all of us came here willingly.
Right.
The president himself, his grandparents came as immigrants, and his wife's parents just got their green cards, right? So they were immigrants, right? There are asylum seekers. There are people who are fleeing tough situations where they're from, and we're supposed to be the land who we kind of open our arms. And I understand that within that there can be bad elements of people coming in. So I get that. So we probably do need some border security. Do you also deal with and we'll get into a little of that more when we get into your story and what it is that you do. But there was, this whole thing of I have an employee who is out of work right now because he can't afford the prescription. It's $450 for a little over a week's worth of medicine, and he can't afford it. And usually his coverage, but because of the shutdown, he can't get as much, which is like I can't take the chance of him working in his condition because he needs it to be 100%. And what we do is safety sensitive. So it actually hit home. I said, oh, wow. Something's not real until it becomes like real.
Yeah.
When you're watching on the news, it's not real until it becomes real. And then it became real for me. And I saw that and I was like, wow. And then, and also today, kind of moving through the current events, I was kind of happy about a couple of years ago, and we was talking about this when we did our thing about police brutality.
Right.
And so there's former Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke was sentenced Friday to 6 years and 9 months in the killing of 17-year-old Laquan McDonald more than 4 years after the shooting. And we can all remember this from Chicago where, he had a knife, he's walking away from police and they twisted him.
Right.
I mean, and they literally twisted him like, you hear rappers say, I'll twist you. I mean, they twisted him like he went around in circles. The veteran police officer was convicted in October of second-degree murder and 16 counts of aggravated battery with a firearm for the shooting in October 2014. It took a while to get justice.
They always do. In those type of cases, police cases, yes. The mind wanders. News is very fast.
Okay.
And so if we take our time in proceeding against someone that we really don't want to proceed against, maybe people forget.
Also, it's sort of designed to kind of slow walk us, push the case on, push.
Where we rush into. We really, look, there is a presumption and an assumption and a subconscious element about our thinking when it comes down to police that they are righteous. They can't do any wrong.
Right.
When you look at the United States in total.
Right.
So there is no judge that is trying to rush this type of trial. There is no defense counsel or prosecutor that's trying to rush this type of trial. it will happen because we are the checks and balances of everything. That means
The
we
checks
are
and
the
balances.
people.
Yes.
We are the people.
Yes.
So it will happen.
Right.
But they try, they being whoever is managing the case, to let the noise around the case subside.
So to try to,
right.
And you know what was amazing?
And that's silent. That just happened.
So he's the first one to be charged, first Chicago police officer to be charged with first-degree murder since 1980. I said, wow.
And this thing right here was the shooter was captured on a dash cam camera.
Yeah.
Well, can I ask you a question? Right, it was captured on the dash cam. Can I ask you a question about the whole dash cam?
And now you know I'm not a police officer.
Right, but
all right.
I know, but as far as
because there's trickery.
There's trickery.
Well, it's definitely
obvious. But the dash cam wasn't released till way later. Do you know anything about the?
Well, I can't speak to Chicago's discovery rules when it comes down to litigation. But usually what happens is when you initiate a lawsuit against a municipality, sheriff's department, the police department, you come to a time and place where you exchange documents. And see, that's when really the battle really begins. The battle's not in the media where you say, oh, he killed young Johnny, or he killed, Raheem, and it was wrong. Where the real battle becomes is behind closed doors when you say, hey, let me get that training manual.
Okay.
Let me see if he went to training every year.
Oh.
We got psychological reports. Is he required to do that every 6 months?
Gotcha.
Oh, let me get the firearm discharge report. When was the last time he went to this? Oh, let me get the video. Oh, please let me get the video. I remember there was a case that I litigated. It was Malik Graham. A gentleman was shot in front of his grandmother and his 6-year-old brother. Shot dead. Right in front of him. He was standing right beside in his own house.
Was that in Brooklyn?
That was in the
Bronx. I remember that.
In the Bronx?
They illegally entered his home, alleging that he had a gun.
Right.
And they put out a story. They being the media, New York City Police Department, the commissioner at that time. They went on ABC. They had a nice clipping of a gentleman that they described. They said it was Wally Graham running from the store after making a drug transaction.
And he ran into his house, I believe.
Ran into his house.
Yeah.
That's the video that they showed. That's the video they showed.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to them, the Graham family is from the island. And if you know anything about folks from Jamaica, from the island, they got their own camera system. They ain't lazy like some other folks that just think like ADT is going to take care of it. They got ADT and they got their own camera system.
Gotcha.
And their camera system revealed Marlon Graham wasn't even wearing a white hoodie. He had a black jacket on, and he would walk to his house. And he took out his key, and he opened the door, and he walked inside his apartment.
Gotcha.
So they put out some fake news and fake footage, not knowing that we had what we had. When it happened that night, and they put it out, and we had it, we held it close to the vest.
Gotcha.
And that's that discovery that we talk about.
So a lot of the war is silent. It isn't.
It's in the back rooms. It's almost like if we, let's make the sports analogy. You see stuff that happened on the field. You're like, oh, he got that sack. Because we're in football season, Super Bowl. Right. Oh, look, nice run. You see that hole. Oh, the running back is nasty. Yeah. All that work happened in the film room.
That happened in the film room.
His tendencies. This is what he's going to do. Yeah, we got this off. We're going to go here. Right. So when the situation happens, the police get all of it. Let me see the film. Let me see this. Let me see that. They get it all. And then when the game starts and we start that war of discovery, I need this. I need his history. How many complaints were filed against him? How many times he was disciplined?
Gotcha.
How many complaints were filed that look like this? Because you will put on notice that he has tendencies to do this or that.
Yeah. Right.
And that's when, and so that's why it takes a long time.
And they make movies. They make movies like that, like Training Day.
Yes.
That's like real life stuff. That's what really happens. Where they orchestrate stuff. When Denzel Washington just closed the shades, he was like, shoot him. And they say quiet at the door.
Right. Things do happen, but what happens behind closed doors is what takes a long time. So once that footage came out, it was game, set, match.
So let me ask you something. So someone who wants to fight on behalf of and help and assist the so-called voiceless is part of the reason why you do what you do, because I see here in your questionnaire you talked about, navigating going to prep school while living in the projects. Right. So you're from the boogie.
Right.
Coming from the projects, that's not having a silver spoon in your mouth.
Without a question, although I saw silver spoons on the floor. St. Mary's did lack no silver spoons. You know what I mean? They were bent.
Those were the silver
They were silver spoons. If you can understand double talk.
Gotcha.
Can your audience get that? That double talk? It was a spoon.
Gotcha.
All right.
So
and it was bent.
So your experience growing up, seeing injustice.
Right.
Were you ever maybe a victim of you walking and they pull you over and search you for no reason?
Oh, without a question.
Okay.
Without a question.
What did those experiences do for you growing up in the Bronx?
You know what? At the time, I wasn't what they call woke. At the time, I was just moving from A to B.
No doubt.
Right?
Right.
When I was riding over from the Bronx to Harlem to play basketball and riding back, and I was coming over the bridge, and someone stopped me, a police officer stopped me. He never touched me, but stopped me. Hey, where you going? What you doing? I'm riding. I'm going. The conversation was minimal, but I was gone.
Right.
But that was a moment, and that was a moment that I should have realized was not normal, but became normal. When I was shot at in the Bronx and Southern Boulevard playing a basketball game, and I went back to pick up my stuff, and the police were like getting ready to shoot me. I'm like, hold it.
Gotcha.
I know the call went out that the guy was Spanish and was fair skinned because I know that. Because I saw him shooting at me.
Right.
So why are you pulling out your gun when I'm going to pick up my keys and my wallet that I left underneath the basket?
Yeah.
Right? So, yes, it has an effect.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the sounding piece and what I call a hook of what I'm saying out here is that is not normal. Don't think it's normal. That police just stop you, and don't let your kids think it's normal. Yeah. It is not normal.
Yeah, it's wrong.
It is wrong.
You're being
over policed.
Right.
And you need to recognize that. And I think that's the first step in understanding how to manage this situation.
You talk about navigating, because I know you're intelligent, so I'm reading the words, and you said navigating prep school.
Right.
While living in the projects. Navigating. Talk to me about the navigation.
Well, the navigation was more on the cultural side than the academic side.
Okay.
The academic side, I don't know if I needed to be propped up to think that I can compete, because I never really saw myself as competing against anyone. I just saw myself just doing the work. My wife is instinctively smart. I just work hard. So you're going to give me the stuff,
me too.
I'm just going to drill it down.
Okay.
I'm going to do it like 45 times on the train, on the bus. Just before we get to class, 2 + 2 is 4. You give it to me, the gun pop. I'm running. I'm running.
Right.
Through my life experience, my professional experience, I've become a little bit more enlightened. But I'm kind of like, I need to drill down.
I
was in that bathroom with the door closed. Like, let me drill down on this.
Yes.
All right. So from an academic standpoint, I was just waiting for them to give me what they had to give me so I can do my drilling on it and come back.
Gotcha.
All right. Thinking back, the school wasn't more geared towards being a thinker as opposed to getting a grade. So a thinker is, they ask you a question, it's open-ended. They want you to drill down. Getting a grade is, you get a history book, we're going to tell you what happened with Christopher Columbus, and in 30 days, we're going to have a test on it.
And I memorized it.
Without a question.
Yeah.
Without a question. My thinking, my critical thinking part came about through another vehicle. My regurgitation and being able to play that, run that marathon came by way of school. So academically, I didn't have to navigate. I just knew what I had to do because I knew what type of person I was.
Gotcha.
Right, just from going to school and just knowing that I do well if I memorize and kind of, not that I didn't think, but memorization, you can do very well in school if you memorize. The navigation comes from the culturalization and understanding who you are and where you fit in this bigger puzzle.
That's the major part.
But let me just tell you, the major part of that is drilling down even further and recognizing that there were other people of color in the school that were African American, that were affluent and higher on the social ladder, that I'm seeing for the first time.
Okay.
And they wear pink and yellow Algard sweaters and stuff that I would crack on them. But when I got in college, I was like, yo, let me get one of them. Let me get the pink one. Let me get the yellow one. You know what I mean? They were advanced. They were already there. And understanding that, they live on 110th Street and First Avenue. Like, they got it. His father's a doctor. His mother a doctor, a professor. And kind of dealing with that. And my background, when my father works at the post office, and we just made it from food stamps with the funny money to the regular money just a couple of weeks ago, because I played ball. I got the half discount on a little Fordham Prep. And when the bill was due, and they put it on your desk and Saturday, and your father said, don't worry about that bill, man. Tell them next time to send the bill. That's like pressure. That's the anxiety that you get ready to take a French test, and before you go to take the French test, the tuition bill is stuck in your desk. Right. So now you're going to take that test. That chem test you're getting ready to take, the bill is stuck under there, right? Right? And you know that you got a game later on tonight.
Gotcha.
So that means I got to get 24 tonight. Looks very nice tonight.
Gotcha.
Remind them why I'm there. Okay. Why they think I'm there. Go home and show that to Pop. Have Pop flare up. Because that's somewhat insulting to him. Like, why are you putting that under my son? I didn't understand at the time. Why he would flare up. In my brain, I'm like, if the bill is due, what you get mad at? Why you mad?
Is that why in the caterpillar phase you said learning that leaders doesn't have to speak?
Right.
So this is why.
So now you're in that forum. That's the cultural side within the culture. But the bigger picture that we automatically go to is the white-black dynamic. The Irish-black dynamic, the Jewish-black dynamic.
And how we find ourselves and how we fit as we scale the ladder to success, and defining what success is. Success isn't necessarily being accepted by the good old boys. Right. But success is making that paper. We paper chasing. But success is me finding where I fit within dealing with the good old boys. Right. Being able to deal with them and not lose me is challenging.
Yeah, it is challenging, but I feel sorry for some of the good old boys that I met back at Fordham Prep because it wasn't that challenging. When you smashed my Suzy Q cupcake after I paid for it, and I punched you in your face. That was a challenge. That was a challenge for somebody else. That was a challenge for somebody else. You can't smash my Suzy Q. I do a lot of stuff. Hey, look, I paid for that. Right. What joke is that? You smashed my food. What culture you come from?
Yeah, you can't mess with Suzy.
And then laugh and you smash my cake. Yeah. Well, guess what? Take a 2-piece. Now you got Popeye.
With a biscuit.
You know what I mean? Now you got Popeye. Right. So that was a learning with how to control oneself.
But Russ, you got to play the game a little though. When you become an attorney and you're getting on the scene. What was it like becoming an attorney? Now you could have done. You didn't have to fight on behalf of the people. You could have. Yeah. I'm just saying, I know some people.
I could have tried.
I got family. No. I got family members that's Republican. That, I got people in my family that is from South Jamaica, Queens. I know where they from. Right. And when I walk in the house, there's a picture of a bunch of law partners that don't look like us, right? That, my nephew don't go to school with nobody that look like us.
Yes. Yeah.
My sister don't let him listen to hip hop. I'm being real. She don't kind of even want him around his nieces and nephews. Because, wanting to And I understand we want better for ourselves, but some of us get lost into as we become these attorneys. And I've seen real examples of people that I love in my life lose themselves. And I'm coming in the living room like, damn, they pictures are here. Where's our pictures? Our pictures are what? Off on like
tucked in the corner somewhere.
Yeah, well, I can tell you this. You know, that's a tough pill to swallow. But
how did you do it, man?
There will come a time and place where you will be marginalized. It will happen. The issue is whether you see it. It will happen. Now, if you too leverage, and so let me backtrack. If you financially too leverage, you got the mortgage, you got the kid in private school, you go to Martha Vineyard, you got the lease on a nice car, you got a couple of things out there that you need to anchor, and you marginalize in your situation, trying to become partner at a big firm, being one of one, a person of color. Maybe the Latino brother that's there, you don't see the rice and beans in his teeth because he don't flip the other way.
Gotcha. And
so you fight a solo dance, right? That is a tough road to walk. It is, believe me. And at some point you will be marginalized and you got to know whether to jump out or stay. Now, when you say, what made me choose? I don't know if I made the choice. Maybe it was chosen for me. You know, maybe the rejections. Because when I first went to law school, a lot of friends of mine, they were playing in the NBA or playing overseas. And so I would help them with contract stuff, and that was going to be the lane. And if that wasn't the lane, I was a finance major undergrad, honor roll, only black person in my year in the honor program at Fordham University.
Gotcha.
Right? So I was on my way to Oppenheimer.
Gotcha.
You know, getting ready to become a compliance officer, you know what I mean? And then next step, do the law school and stay within the financial arena.
Yeah.
And crash, Black Monday came, the crash in '87, and that was that. So maybe it was chosen for me. You know, maybe it was chosen for me. Now, doing it is from a spiritual standpoint comes quite natural.
Right.
I mean, doing it from a spiritual
because that's just how you code
it. Right. It's easy. It's easy to relate. It's easy to tell that story.
Family support you also had as well.
Oh, without a question. I mean,
the forward as well.
And the troubles and the hard times that they've seen, because I've been able to, you know, deal with that, manage that up close and personal, and then now deal with it from afar when it comes down to other people. But as I tell people, once you're in my family, you're in my family. So if you're a client, now you all caught up on me, and now we all caught up on each other. And so that's just the way it's going to be. And if I call you, I expect you to do. I just really do. I expect you to do.
Why this type of law? Why couldn't it be entertainment or something like that? You know, why this type of law for you? I mean, this is tough here.
Yeah, it is tough. I don't know if I really know the answer as to why. You know, maybe Drake got it. It's God's plan. I don't know. Maybe that's
no doubt.
You know, that feels right.
Yeah.
You know, because I didn't set out wanting to represent folks that I know that sold drugs. I didn't set out necessarily want to represent folks that were getting their head beat in.
Yeah.
But the path is all intertwined, because you spoke about immigration, and now we talk about civil rights and false arrest and police brutality. So when you are a defense counsel and you're fighting for the rights of those that are accused of a criminal charge, and you come to find out that something was done illegally, like their rights were violated by an illegal search, now you done bled over to the civil rights part, and you bled over more to the cardiac arrest part, right? And if that person turns out to be an immigrant, and their whole life depends upon whether they win or lose this case, they're a legal permanent resident, if they get convicted of a robbery, they automatically get deported. Right? Now you see how it's all intertwined. Right? Now the navigation part becomes, do you just jump out of law school and just say, hey, look, here I am, let me just practice in the area? Or do you take a couple of bumps and, hey, look, I'm going to be an assistant district attorney. I'm going to be a prosecutor. I may have to prosecute some things, but I'm going to learn that back.
Right.
I may have to be the cameraman before I actually be the host of the show, but I need to be the cameraman because when I'm a host of the show, I'm gonna say, you know what, I'm feeling a little thick. Take a little makeup off. I know how that looks.
Yes.
I can see the shine.
Yeah, exactly.
Powder me up here.
Exactly.
I can see the shine.
Exactly.
And so doing the same thing on the federal level with the Department of Justice and immigration, yes, I had to deport some people. But then understanding how does that work? How do you prevent that? And then coming on the other side to bring vindication and protecting the masses on that level. So that's wonderful.
You got both sides.
That's a real game of poker right there.
Yeah. And so talk to me about cardiac arrest, man. I mean, listen, I'm liking the book. I'm anxious to read it. Think calm, stay composed, be aware, listen, make a call. You gave me the risk, you gave me the being here.
I'm feeling this right. I'm
probably not taking it. I'm not taking it off no time soon.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it.
But talk to me about the book. What inspired you to write this book?
Okay, so we're going to work backwards. We're going to talk about the band first because I think that's really important. Okay. I think one of the things that is kind of symbolic when I put the band, and this happened off air, guys. So I'm giving you a little off-air commentary.
I felt the power, right? I felt like a superhero. When you put it on, I felt like I was transformed, like it was like an Iron Man kind of thing.
Right. So I had mentioned when you put it on, I was like, all right, now here are your freedom papers. And we know, and for those who don't know, when slavery ended, or even before then, certain people had the right to buy their way out of slavery, and they had their freedom papers. Right. You had to walk with these papers, right? Or else you might get picked up and you might get thrown back into slavery, right? And so the Silicon Band, which says think calm, as you said, stay composed, be aware, listen, and make a call. And the other side says cardiac arrest. I always joke about this is your freedom papers because I envision a place and time where everybody is wearing these bands at some point, and that would be the first step in a police officer's mind as to whether they want to be on the right side of the ledger or the wrong side of the ledger when they see that band.
So the band,
when they see the band,
to them.
When they see the band, because we're gonna make this worldwide, right? This is gonna be a bestseller, right? This is gonna be in every library and every.
This is where the handcuffs go.
Come on, now. Easy, breezy. How you gonna do that to me? I give the punchlines. You ask the question. You know what I mean?
So when they see
it,
they
Watson,
know, he's aware, he's woke. Let me be easy because he gonna call Royce Russell.
You know what I'm saying? Now we got a conversation with Sherlock Holmes here. Now we don't flip it. The conversation with Sherlock Holmes. Dear Watson, let me tell you. So here it is, right? So, right, they get ready to do something. They get ready to make a move. They see the band. Mm-hmm. Maybe. There's no one rule.
Gotcha.
There's multitude of rules. Right. There's no one way you talk to a young lady. If you think every time you can walk up and just say, my name is Royce Russell, you like my ways, that ain't gonna work.
Gotcha.
Right? Especially since I ain't got no ways. Yeah. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I ain't got no
so you gotta think of ways to penetrate in the membrane. Mm-hmm. And so this, I thought, was a way that over time, if people are wearing it, then that'll be the first data point to put an officer on notice that, all right, this person knows something. Now, what made me write it is just my life experience. Growing up in the projects, becoming a prosecutor, becoming a defense attorney, litigating and settling cases against New York City, against, other states, and whether it's federal or state court, involving false arrest, police brutality, illegal search and seizures. We've always, or at least throughout my professional career, when I go to seminars and I give seminars and I'm in the crowd, I've always heard the perspective of a police officer. Police officers always giving the seminar. So when we stop you, you should do this, and when we did you should do that. And what's even more critical, the seminars are usually done by retired police officers. I never see police officers actually on the job that are giving these type of seminars. Mm. All right. So when you retire, you're safe, you're secure, you're getting the pension. You can say what you want, how you want. When you're on the job and you're giving a seminar and you want to talk about this, you got to be careful. You can't really say certain things. And I know that to be true just from my experience and those that I know that are on the force, that are members of the service. So, where's the civilian? Where's the guy that went from A to Z on this? Where's that person, male or female, that can give you their perspective? And I can tell you, hey, look, these are some of the things that you need to consider. And when I see a void, I feel a void.
Right.
And I saw the void. And so I'm here to fill it. So I'm the guy. I'm the guy that's going to tell you, hey, look, I've seen it when I was poor. I've seen it when I was not so poor. I've seen it when I'm not so poor. And it still looks the same. It comes at you differently, but it's still the same. It's still the same feeling, like the title of the book, Cardiac Arrest. When you see the police behind you, whether they're in a car or whether they call your name, hey, stop, or what have you,
right.
that heart start to race, your palms start to get sweaty, the blood level increase, and sometimes your heart stop the moment they say, hey, can I see, hey, stop. You see the sirens in the back, and you look through your mirror as you're driving. That momentary stop.
Yeah, you get a little nervous.
There's a question in here.
Yeah.
That could get you punched in your face.
Exactly.
Why am I being arrested?
Well, here it is. So now.
That could get you jacked.
Yeah.
And you said it's a question here. Now, one of the things
when
I talk about.
Officer that.
See, you said when you ask an officer that, because that's what you're doing. But I'm here to tell you how the officer perceives it. It's not as a question, but as a statement, as a defiant moment of you challenging their authority. And so you need to know that when you say, why are you stopping me? Or I know I didn't do anything wrong, or how can I help you, officer? Although those words are coming out your mouth, by the time it reaches that officer's ears, it's something totally different. It's totally something different. And you have to understand, and I say this in the book, rightfully or wrongfully, police officers are quasi-soldiers. They give orders and they take orders.
Right.
They don't ask questions, and they darn sure don't want you to ask them questions.
Right.
So they say license and registration. That's an order.
That's an order.
You got to do that. Get out of the car. Get out of the car.
Right.
That's an order. Right. Stand over here. That's an order.
Right.
Take your hands out of your pocket. That's an order.
Right. Right.
Those are all orders. And they're getting orders from their higher above, and they're giving it and handing it down to you. Mm-hmm. So when you say, why am I being stopped? Can I help you, officer? It is my personal experience that doesn't translate to them as a question.
Right.
It translates as you not going to do what they ordered you to do.
And then they repeat what they say to you again.
Because that's not resonating with them. Just like if you say, hey, officer, I go to Florida Prep, I'm on the basketball team.
So now let me ask you, so now you go through this situation.
Right.
A lot of people don't know where to go and get representation. And that's one of the questions in one of the chapters. Who should represent me? Where should people go to actually get the proper representation if they've had a bad experience with a law enforcement officer?
Okay, so once again, I always like to work backwards. You can't be reactive, you have to be proactive.
Right.
So people do not say, where do I go when I catch the flu? They know where they're going when they catch the flu. They got a family doctor. They got a referral before the flu even happens.
Right. Right.
Because they have other family members that their family members caught the flu.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, fortunately or unfortunately, we have family members that know attorneys. Know maybe more than one.
Okay.
You have to have a relationship with an attorney.
Okay.
I didn't say you have to put $1,000 in a retainer to hold that attorney there. So when the call comes,
sometimes you can't afford.
That's why I'm saying you don't have to do that, but you have to have a relationship with an attorney. Nothing is stopping anyone from calling me up, coming in my office, saying, this is my son, boo-boo. What do I need to do, A, B, and C? I get free consultation. You take my card. Now you have my card.
Right.
So now when the situation happens, you're not scrambling.
Right.
My card is on the refrigerator.
Are there a lot of people out there? No. Are there? My refrigerator
you know,
is too nice.
It's clean. You don't do it on what you got the Sub-Zero.
Yeah.
Oh, see,
the Haitians used to put the magnet on the
magnet. Yo, that's it. Right, there you go. Picture when you were 1-2 right there in the clip. We don't do that no more.
My mother used to keep the worst picture in the living room when she greased my face up with enough Vaseline and she could cook a chicken on my cheek. That was the one that was up. Girls used to come over my house and be like,
look at you.
She's like, Mom, why this picture? I took the picture down. She got pissed.
So no more.
No more.
But put my card up there. Put the card in the phone. Have it. So you're proactive. So when the situation happens, you can make the phone call. You know who to call. We can have the conversation. You can say, oh, yeah, all right, this is what we need to do. Because let me tell you, it's nothing like scrambling.
Do lawsuits work?
Lawsuits definitely work. You hit them. See, I like to say punch them in the pocket.
You punch them in the pocket.
Punch them in the pocket.
That's how you affect change.
Well, that's one of the ways you affect change. You definitely punch them in the pocket. If New York City or any other state wants to pay out because officers are not honoring our rights or violating our rights, then unfortunately, I don't want anybody to be harmed. Then, as they say, pay the man.
Right. Okay.
Pay it, because I'm gonna hit you in the pocket. And research shows, and it's dated in my book, New York City has paid a lot of money.
I mean, billions. You got some interesting stuff in that book. I haven't read it yet, but I can't wait to read it. I mean, were you concerned about possibly any backlash from police officers in writing this book?
Well, you know.
Yeah, because you're putting yourself front. But, I mean, you've been involved in some things, but you're putting yourself front and center.
Well, right. You know, it's going to happen if you touch it. I'll give you a story. If you selling sneakers out of your trunk, Nike really ain't going to mess with you. LeBron James decided to buy your sneaker. Now Nike's looking at you, right? You can't get no shelf space. So it's part of the territory.
Right.
Right? If you're affecting lives across the board and you helping people across the board, then something's bound to happen. And that something is you might get investigated. You know, you can't stay at the club till 3 o'clock in the morning. Right. You know what I mean? You can't be at the spot with everybody else. You got to know to get up and get out. You have to watch what you say, who you hang out with.
So you find that you got to move different.
You definitely have to move different. You definitely have to move different.
You got to be smart on how you move, who you move with.
Who you move with, how you move. But I don't let that affect my overall relationship I have with people. Because, you know, there are people I grew up with that sold drugs. They don't sell them anymore. There are people I know who probably sell drugs.
Right.
Because of the ties of where I grew up.
No doubt.
You know, you can't leave your parents in St. Mary's Project or any other New York City Housing Authority location or your old neighborhood,
no doubt,
and expect to go back and you're not shaking some hands.
Oh,
you're not hugging some people. You're not talking about old times.
Listen,
irrespective of how that person is living their life.
No
so
doubt.
You have to stay the course.
Yeah, listen, I had a barbecue in my backyard, and you know, coming people from around the way was here, and this and that and this, and we have parties, and we just had our New Year's Eve parties, and you know, look, there was some people that I grew up with, they shaking and baking, right? And I love them, but we gonna see each other on New Year's Eve, right? At the party.
That's it.
Other than that, but I'm not gonna say you can't come.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Right. But I ain't living like that no more. Right. It's been a long time.
Right.
But I love you, but they doing what they do. But I gotta be careful because I can't hang out with you too often because they would love to wheel me out of my business.
Right.
Thinking that I'm funneling your drug money.
But you know, right. let me
even if it's not right, they'll have the cameras there just to take me out. Even if I'm proven innocent.
It's just but to your point, and I'll take your story one step further, representing some folks at some point in time that part of a Columbia family, you know, doing whatever they do in federal court, let's just say, right? And you hear the U.S. Attorney say, oh, they're affiliated with, they're associated with, and because the culturalization and the things that you just said, that federal judge had to think about some things that I said. Judge, I come from a place where when I go back, they hug me and they squeeze me. They might be drug dealers. And if somebody take a picture at the right time at the right place, they can say he's associated, he's affiliated. I'm just coming back from spring break, Christmas break, coming back to see mom.
We just out at the tournament watching the game, and they're there.
They're here. And I'm saying something to them because when I go, they make sure that my mother makes it to and from the supermarket with no problems, hands down. That's that's Royce's mother. Because generations get a little loose with the memory. And you're able to make that argument to a judge who's never even seen a justice cultural argument come at him in slow motion.
Wow.
Now, ultimately, he may not rule in my favor, but the other side didn't see it coming. It hit them like a ton of bricks, like boom, like. But they're just words. His words associated.
But those judges come from. They come from communities that they got people who are doing things too, and they understand. And because of where I'm from and how I grew up, and I was a juvenile delinquent, and I was out there in the street shaking and baking, right? I know how to relate to people because it's funny. So the other day, I come out of the center, and these young kids, they smoking weed. Look, so it's daytime. They smoking weed on the side of the daycare center. They smoking weed over there. So I smell it coming in through the vents. I'm like, somebody's smoking weed close. I look out the window and they stand right there. So I went out, but because I know how to talk, and I had on my I was casual, corporate casual. Say, yo, fam, right here, the smoke's going through the vent. The kids asleep. Oh, sorry, OG. No
God. History.
Right. I didn't come out, because if they was kids like me, I might have got stomped out. See? Right. So I know how we work, so I know how to talk to, because they would, you come wrong, you just get your ass whipped.
But you could tell that they were respectful too.
And I said, yo, fam, y'all smoking, the kids right here, it's a daycare. And they was like, oh shit, son, we didn't even realize you're sorry.
They were just trying to get high.
Now you take that full circle. So now you take that full circle, right? They were just trying to get high, right?
They look, it's not a camera. It's
like we could have been arrested. Like, we're following the street in front of the school. This is a felony. They like, yo, can I buy you lunch? They're like, yo, good looking.
They're just trying to get high.
What the heck? It's how you.
So now, but this is what I'm saying. When we started up in the beginning, we said justice, right? And I was talking about just us, right? And I'm saying going in the courtroom and all of that, right? How you talk, how you communicate. The guy's having an argument with his girlfriend. He got a court case on. He's not thinking that he got his baseball cap on when he walk in the courtroom. He's hot on this. And if somebody yell, take your cap off, you're like, why you gotta talk to me like that? Sometimes when it's just us, you got to do the thing like this. Just go like this. Oh, my bad. Boom. Much respect. Off. Done with. So now we go to the stop. We go to a cardiac arrest scenario. Why do you have to be aggressive with me? Why? Why you got to be aggressive with me? Whatever you trying to do, we can accomplish with different words. And so what I'm trying to do is give to the people, because all we have is words. We don't have guns. We don't have mace. We don't have the stun gun. We don't have the zip ties. We don't have the asp that you can expandable metal that I can boom. We don't even have the walkie-talkie where we can call and say 85 man down or what have you. All we have is our words.
It's our words and our voice.
Right? Words. So I'm trying to give you some words, some actions, some understanding that hostility is only going to be met with hostility. For every action, there's a reaction. And you take that into consideration in how you move. I'm not trying to shape no weeping willies. That's not my motto. You just stand there and just take it. Because I've read some books. Just stand there and take it and you live to see another day. Maybe sometimes.
Well, let me say this.
Maybe sometimes.
I was arguing with...
Maybe not.
I was arguing in the house with my sons and my wife, and my whole family was against me. When the thing happened with Eric Gardner. Right? And I don't care. I'm me, I'm Malik. I speak whatever I speak. I don't give a fuck who don't like it or whatever, right? But I said, in light of, regardless from New York City, from Staten Island, son, you've been around long enough since we were young, hearing about Eleanor Bumpers. And,
right.
you know, your son, they asked you about 15 times to turn around, put your hands up. My only thing was, yo, dog, you was just selling, all right, you know you was selling Lucy's, and they roll up on you, and you feel like, yo, why y'all messing with me? Y'all always messing with me. I'm tired. But they standing there, and these are the D's with the vest on and the hat backwards. They the thug unit that they put out there. Yo, son, you know that. Why don't you just turn around and put your hands up?
But here's the problem.
And yes, no. Look, yes, no.
Mm-hmm.
They shouldn't have. Yes, no. They shouldn't have choked them out and killed them. But why didn't you just put your hands up? Okay, because if that's me, listen.
Wait.
Listen, that's me. I'm
Easy. The thing that you said.
Sorry, man.
The thing that you said that is most telling, which I know you don't know, but I understand why you said it, is that you know what's going to happen, son. Why didn't you just do A, B, and C? I'm telling you, a lot of people don't know what's going to happen. The assumption is that he's been around the block, so he should know how this goes down. Maybe he wasn't told the story. Maybe somebody didn't sit down with him and say, hey, this is going to happen to you one day. Because we can put a lot of cats right now. We can run this whole block and say, did your father and your mother have to talk with you? They're going to say no. Well, how you know how to handle yourself when it comes to police? Well, I watch my boy. Or I watch YouTube. Or I saw it on Facebook. Or I just know not to do that. How you know not to do it? I just know. That's false news right there, just to know. Right? This has to be taught.
Gotcha.
This has to be taught.
Yeah.
We have to be proactive on it. Gotcha. So you can say this with authority. Yo, you know what you know how to, and even that sounds strange, right? Mm-hmm. But we live in the world we live in. It almost sounds like, 1818 or 1860 or 1960. You know how to act. You know what you should do. I mean, that's how it kind of rubs me. But yeah. I would want you to know, because we had the conversation, or I was able to give you the book. Yeah. I don't want this to happen to you, and you think it's normal, so you don't tell me. I don't know what happened to you. I think because now we moved to Long Island, we don't live in St. Mary's anymore, that it's not going to happen to you, that we beyond that, because now you get in my car, and you drive the way you need to go. You're not getting on the train. You're not looking for the bus. You're not smoking weed while you're walking. You're in the vehicle. So all these things are going on. And so now you're 21, 22, and we never even had to talk. And now when the man is 50-something or 40-something, it finally happens to him, or it's been happening all along, and boom. What do we do?
Yeah.
How do we go about it?
Gotcha.
Right? And so once again, we mentioned earlier, the drums are not beaten when we have these conversations, if we have these conversations, but I want to make it available so I can't have the conversation and have a place to go to read about the conversation. I'll be more than happy to go to a workshop. I'll be more happy to do a workshop. I'll be more happy to do whatever I can. But if my arms can't reach, there is a tool that you can be proactive instead of reactive. And there is something to be said that enough is enough. And you could tell that he just had it.
He just had
it. He just
had it. I don't reach one of those I just had it moments. Those moments where the dude that,
the slave that ran away so many times.
He knew he was going to get tired. He was just like, yo, I don't care, man, lynch me.
Right.
I just hope I don't have that moment, right? And so I read something here, and before we close, I just want to read this and then talk to you about what you got coming up. This is a CNN report. One researcher reported that there are about 1,000 police shootings each year in the United States. And I was just like, 1,000 police shootings? That's an astronomical number. And Black men are nearly 3 times more likely to die from police use of force.
Right.
And I said, yo, man, I need to be like in preparing for your show. And so it was funny because I was sitting there on the steps and this place was like a wreck. And I was looking and I got still. I must have just been sitting there for an hour. Wife came over, she was like, yo, you all right? And I said, yeah, I'm just kind of getting still. I'm just kind of waiting for the universe and the ancestors to, God to kind of speak to me.
Right.
Right. And I knew I had to start cleaning up. And my boys, they older, really want help and shit. You know what I'm saying? My other son, he in college doing his thing. He's studying for finals. And he's like, yo, man,
that's you.
Yeah, that's
you.
As much as I did for the
motherfuckers.
That's you. Private school all his life. Right? So, and I get that, and I was the same way, right? Because I remember my mother she owned buildings in downtown Brooklyn, and she would ask me to just come with her just to sweep the water off the roof. But I wanted to be on God Boulevard, man. It's something Boulevard. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sitting there on the steps, and I'm like, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? How's this place going to look? There was boxes and boxes of shit in here. And it was like the feeling just came to me. Just move one box. Just start moving a box. Right? And then, so when I have experiences, I had an experience in preparing for you that, maybe I need to start doing more in regards to fighting against injustice in the community. And Royce is coming in, maybe I can talk to him in the future about things that he's doing and get more involved. And so that was a moment that dawned on me as I was sitting there, like, that's why you started moving one box. Because I didn't know I was going to meet you. And then I didn't know I was going to have an experience of something that really bothered me. That really bothered me.
Right.
Just reading that. Like, I mean, seriously, I guess like sometimes the hustle and bustle of life and we just trying to manage and get by some stuff. And I know that there's injustice and I consider myself black conscious and I talk to my kids and we do the Kwanzaa, and all that stuff. But certain stuff just kind of goes under, and that really hit me tonight. And I guess I see why you do what you do, man.
Well, I can tell you one thing. Something else is going to hit you, right? Those are statistics that we can grab. You don't grab a statistic where you just stop for 15 or 20 minutes and you run late for work. We don't grab a statistic that way, your son who's riding on the bike, hold on, just sit here on this corner for a second. We just want to check something. That statistic is not grabbed. Or when the police officer talks to you in a way like, wait a minute, what happened to the professional courtesy and respect? The small indignities that we suffer. That's not even, you're not even complaining about it. You're not even writing it down. You have other things in your life that you think are more important, and they may actually be more important. But in order to jump over this moon, we have to redraw the line. The line can't be pushed back to where we complain, we march, we read cardiac arrest and do some other things after I got the broken eye socket. The line has to be pushed up. He was banging on my door as if I didn't pay taxes here. That's where you start complaining on that line. Gotcha. See, you got to move the line up. Yes. Right? Yes. And so, are we going to get $1 million for that? Is anything really going to happen to the officer? I don't know, but you have to move the line up. Move the line up. The discourtesy, the unprofessional. When you treat me, I'm moving that line up because then we're never going to get to you breaking my eye socket because I moved the line so far up that you know what? When I go to 52 whatever, boy, you know what? That's him again. I'm not even. I'm scratching my head. Why I gotta go here? You know what I mean? What's the deal? What's the deal here?
You right. I mean? I said that until these officers like today start getting sentenced to whereas these white wives go, listen, motherfucker. I don't care what Johnny and Tim and them. Don't kill one of those motherfuckers and have me stuck here
by myself raising these kids.
You listen.
Or you taking the hit financially.
Yeah.
How about you taking the hit financially?
Don't be beaten down.
You don't want that.
Don't be beaten down because they giving time for this. And that's when it'll stop. When we get more sentences like this,
right,
where it ain't worth, yo, you know what? If we're niggas and we're pieces of shit, then we shouldn't be worth you losing your job. Because that's what's going to happen if you hurt one of us. And when their wives start, listen, motherfucker, when you go out there, I heard that shit they were saying, but yo, no. Don't be hitting none of them. Don't be, because we got bills to pay.
And once again, you move the line up. So here go a line. Here goes something that I suggest in the book. There's a variety of ways to get to it, but here goes something. If there's legislation that's out there that says that a police officer is involved in this and he's found liable, right? Not only does a municipality have to pay, but maybe you got to pay a little portion, 5%, 2% of that 30 to 40,000. That'll shut things up pretty quickly. You know, because that's what you're saying, right? We're not giving our check over here. Keep it right. We're not doing that. So, you know, one of the things I tell young folks, old folks, in between folks when I'm doing this is that there's this thing called victim, right? You don't want to become a victim. And what does that mean? That means, one, you got to vote, all right? You got to vote. You got to vote. Two, you got to intervene. You see something happen to your brother or your sister, take the video, do what you got to do. You got to intervene.
Yes.
Right? You know, see, you got to communicate. This story has to be told down and down and down and down and down and down. You know what I mean? You got to have that. You know what I mean? You got to tolerate. You got to be tolerant. You got to be tolerant of the people that are coming and approaching you, and you have to be tolerant of what their world might be before you react. Right? And you have to infiltrate. No more, I don't want to become a police officer. You got to become one. How you going to change the situation? You got to infiltrate. You got to change it from within and without, right? And you know, you got to make a difference. Whatever that means to you. You got to make a difference.
You talked about proactive, Russ, and you know, you seem, fairly young, 23 years in the business. What's next for you, like, at this point? You know, you, like I said, you seem very young, man. I mean, but you're definitely proactive. You know, so I'm sure there's, you got this book here. Is there going to be a part 2?
There's definitely going to be a part 2. There's going to be a part 2 to this interview that we start to talk about what's the next step.
That's right.
All right?
No doubt,
so
no
you know
doubt.
There's going to be a step.
No doubt.
And we're going to talk about it on the next time we go around.
Yo, man. Right.
And that'll be one reason to have me back.
I want you to tell everybody how they can find you, man.
All right, so they can definitely find me at Cardiac Arrest, booklaunch.net. That's one place where they can go and get the book, right? They can also find us at Cardiac Arrest, book.net. That's where you get all the information. But, like I said, once again, Cardiac Arrest, book.net. That's where you can order it also on Amazon. And you can also invite me out to do a performance. Come on out here, do a workshop, conduct something out.
Blinging right now.
Blinging, right? Come on out and do a workshop, a lecture, and we can do it there.
Yo, so listen, it's been another great episode of Conversations with Malik. I'm here with my co-host with the most,
yes, sir.
Jeff Joes, Royce Russell, in the house, Cardiac Arrest, powerful brother. I'm glad to make his acquaintance. I'm inspired. We had a good time since he came in. He's here with his wonderful guest in the background with the beautiful, bright smile, right? So the room is lit up. And listen, we end the show like we always do. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Peace.
Ooh, I like that.